We live in interesting times. Today's stories. Ontario breaks ground on the first of 4 priority subway projects. Canada extends flight ban between Canada and India while dropping its Pakistan ban. Administrative segregation is no longer required for a contact considered protected in Quebec. How will Canada Day look like this year? British Columbia's top doctor hopes that 75% of its population be fully vaccinated by the end of July. Telus World of Science receives donation from the Edmonton Civic Employees Charitable Assistance Fund. Canada shaken by a new discovery of 751 unmarked graves near Indigenous school. Hello everyone, you're watching Eagle News Canada. I'm Kat Joy, reporting in from Ottawa, Ontario, bringing you stories from across the globe. Ontario has officially broken ground on the first of 4 priority subway projects, marking the start of construction on the largest subway expansion in Canadian history. Eagle News correspondent Yolanda Aspiraz reports.
On Wednesday, June 23rd, the Ontario government broke ground on what is to be the largest subway expansion project in Canadian history. Officials claim that the new Scarborough subway extension will provide a better, more reliable and faster transit system than before, something that has long been needed and requested by Scarborough residents. Premier Doug Ford delivers the announcement. Take a look.
For too long, commuters here in Scarborough have waited for better transit. Well, that ends now, folks. Today, we break ground on the largest subway expansion in Canadian history. In 2019, we announced a $28.5 billion investment to expand Ontario's transit network. The most money ever invested to get new subways built. $5.5 billion of that commitment was for the construction of the Scarborough subway extension. And now, Strawbag, the winning team selected for this project, is ready to prepare the site so tunneling for the nearly 8 kilometers extension can begin.
To begin, the government plans to begin tunneling the 7.8-kilometer distance between what will be the 3 new subway stops within Scarborough. Here is Minister of Transportation Caroline Mulroney with further details.
The 3-stop subway extension will extend service from Kennedy Station to Shepherd Avenue and McCowan Road, providing quick and seamless transit for those heading in and out of the downtown core and those traveling within Scarborough. This is the kind of smart city building planning that will give this community the world-class transit it deserves. Once this extension is built, people will no longer have to deal with outdated transit that can't keep up with their needs. The Scarborough subway extension will reduce travel times and make it easier to get to work, school, and other places across the city. This project will also support up to 3,000 jobs annually during its construction, drive housing development, and significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
The project will provide an approximated 3,000 jobs yearly as construction of the subway expansion begins. The goal of the expansion is to ensure the city has better access to schools, employment spaces, and overall make the lives of Scarborough residents easier. Minister of Infrastructure Kinga Surma and Associate Minister of Transportation Stan Cho give more details on the cost and goals of the plans.
In fact, over the next 10 years, we will invest over $145 billion. This includes over $16 billion alone next year.
Just last month, Infrastructure Ontario and Metrolinx awarded a $757 million contract to the experienced team at Strabag to design, build, and finance the tunnel for the historic subway project.
The Scarborough subway expansion is only the beginning of the province's plan for a new transit vision for the Greater Toronto Area, with plans to build the all-new Ontario Line, Eglinton Crosstown West Extension, and the Yonge North Subway Extension. As of now, Ontario has a total of 4 upcoming historical subway projects. In Toronto, Yolanda Aspiras, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Canada has extended its ban on incoming passenger flights from India. However, the ban on incoming passenger flights from Pakistan was not extended. Here's Eagle News correspondent Stacey Del Campo with more details.
The ban on direct flights between Canada and India has been extended for another 30 days, Canadian Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra announced.
But he says flights from Pakistan will be allowed to resume. Based on the public health data, we will not be renewing the flight ban between Canada and Pakistan, Al-Gabra said on Twitter. Flights between the two countries and Canada were originally suspended for a month on April 22nd because of the COVID outbreak on the Indian subcontinent. The ban was extended for another 30 days in May. Passengers from India who come to Canada via an indirect route must still obtain a COVID-19 test from a third country before boarding a flight to Canada.
In Montreal, Stacey Del Campo will live in interesting times.
Public health teams dealing with case and contact management must now include if a person is considered protected, partially protected, or unprotected. But why is this important? Eagle News correspondent Marjorie Quintos tells us why.
Quebec's Ministry of Health and Social Services announces that public health teams dealing with case and contact management must now include the notion of contact person considered as protected, partially protected, and unprotected in the application of general preventive measures, in particular with regard to isolation. The contact status considered to be protected implies that administrative segregation no longer has to be observed for the person. The amendment to the Directive on Case and Contact Management in the context of circulation of variants under enhanced surveillance states that persons who have received both doses of vaccine are considered protected if their exposure to a case has occurred. More than 7 days after receiving a second dose, they are considered partially protected. People who have received a single dose for more than 14 days are considered to be partially protected from exposure. Otherwise, they are considered unprotected. This new concept also takes into account people who have already had COVID-19, who are particularly considered as protected if they received a first dose of vaccine more than 7 days ago or if they've developed the disease less than 6 months. It should also be noted that immunosuppressed people are always considered unprotected regardless of their vaccination status or their history of COVID-19. The change applies to daycare services, schools, and workplaces. It introduces the concept of protection, which refers to the reduction of the risk of transmission to others following vaccination or a previous infection. Remember that this individual assessment carried out during surveys takes into account several factors, including the duration of exposure, respect to distancing, wearing a mask, and the type of mask used, to which is added protection conferred by vaccination. Reporting from Montreal, Quebec, this is Marjorie Quintos. We live in interesting times.
With Canada Day just around the corner, how will Canada celebrate this year? Eagle News correspondent Kate Concepcion with the details.
1 week before Canada Day, bathed in unease moments, the federal government does not know how to start the celebrations. While the flags are still half-mast from one ocean to another, in memory of the 215 Indigenous children buried on the site of a boarding school in British Columbia. In a few places across the country, Canada Day is even being called into question. The city of Victoria, British Columbia got the ball rolling by canceling activities surrounding quote-unquote Canada Day, an initiative that has been followed by 2 other municipalities in the province in recent days. and which may echo elsewhere in the country. Gathered on the last day of the parliamentary session, the Conservative caucus was treated to a speech by leader Erin O'Toole, in which he declared that, quote, the path to reconciliation, the path to equality, the path to inclusion does not imply the dismantling of Canada. Erin O'Toole is concerned that the injustices of our past or present are too often seized by a small group of activists who use them to attack the very idea of Canada. He told his MPs in response to the news about the Country Day cancellations. As someone who has served Canada and who will soon ask the confidence to lead our country, I cannot remain silent when people want to cancel Canada Day, continued Mr. Toole. We are not a perfect country. No country is. There is not a place on this planet whose history can withstand scrutiny. But there is a difference between acknowledging our failures. There is a difference between legitimate criticism and always wanting to dismantle the country. Always being on the side of those who denigrate Canada, always seeing the bad and never the good. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to hoist the maple leaf to the top of the mast on July 1st rests with the Prime Minister, but no such announcement has yet been made. Masting was ordered on Sunday, May 30, and until further notice, a few days after the discovery of Kamloops. Nonetheless, Aboriginal Affairs Minister Mark Miller on Wednesday opened a window on the prevailing state of mind in government. He said he was quote-unquote divided about the celebrations and said he understood how hurtful they can be for the Indigenous communities in the current context. It is in a state of reflection that I approach Canada Day and what it means to Indigenous peoples. There are many Canadians who want to celebrate what I believe is one of the best countries in the world, but for many, it is not the reality they share. Looking back, I think this is what makes Canada look at itself in the mirror and think we are not perfect, said Minister Miller. He who comes from Quebec, where Canada Day is sometimes controversial too, he believes that the time is not for exuberance for Canada Day, but for reflection. The Minister of Canada Crown Relations, Caroline Bennett, agrees with her colleague and announced a full summer of reflection. However, she will be there to celebrate the best country in the world, but one that made horrible mistakes. For the occasion, she will be wearing an orange t-shirt, the color adopted by Indigenous communities to commemorate the residential school system, for the first National Day of Truth and Reconciliation in Canada, September 30th. The adoption of this new holiday in Parliament took place in the same day as confirmation of the discovery of the remains of 215 in Kamloops on May 28. Kat Concepcion, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
BC hopes to have 75% of their population to be fully vaccinated by the end of July. But is this reasonable? Eagle News correspondent Vanessa Condi with the details.
As BC has hit a milestone in the past couple of weeks, this week BC has had 77.5% of all adults and 76% of those 12 and older receiving their first dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. 25.9% of all adults and 24.2% of those 12 and older have had their second dose. Dr. Bonnie Henry is hoping by end of July, 75% of eligible British Columbians will be fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
When do you expect or hope to have 75% of British Columbia's population fully vaccinated with 2 doses? And would it be reasonable to expect that could happen by July the 31st?
The short answer is yes. Obviously, we want to do that as fast as we can, but we also want to make sure that we keep that a good interval between dose 1 and dose 2. So there may be some spillover in people who are just getting immunized now into early August, but I think we can get up there. And we're looking at certainly middle of July to try and get to 80% across the board. And then looking at how do we get second doses into people as quickly as possible as well.
The province is aiming to have most people receiving their second dose 8 weeks after their first dose of the vaccine. This week, BC has also broke another daily record of 81,934 people receiving vaccines. Getting a vaccine is strongly encouraged by the health officials in order to be able to travel and have normal social interactions. In Victoria, BC, Vanessa Condi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
The Edmonton Civic Employees Charitable Assistance Fund donates a total of $1 million for the Telus World of Science. Here's Eagle News correspondent Rachel Lucis with the report.
On June 15, 2021, the Edmonton Civic Employees Charitable Assistance Fund donated a total of $1 million for the Telus World of Science, Edmonton's Aurora project. The new funding announcement will be allotted for the Science Center's project expansion and upgrades. Alan Nursall, President and CEO at Telus World of Science, said that they are truly grateful for this support, as it enables to complete transformation and reach the $41.5 million goal of the center. Over the years, the Aurora project has been continuously growing, having seen the enhancement being made to its existing facilities. Along with the new funding is the 20,000 square feet of new exhibits, which includes Arctic exhibition in the Newell Family Gallery and the Health Zone in the Allard Family Gallery. The said project will be completed by 2022, having an upgraded science gallery in correlation to the arising trends in the science and technology. In Calgary, Canada, Rachel Lucis, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
More than 750 unmarked graves have been found near a former Catholic boarding school for Indigenous children in Western Canada. A tribal leader said Thursday, the second such shock discovery in a month. The revelation once again cast a spotlight on a dark chapter in Canada's history and received calls on the Vatican to apologize for the abuse and violence suffered at the schools, where students were forcibly assimilated into the country's dominant culture.
The Pope needs to apologize for what has happened to the Maryville Residential School, impact on Cowes' First Nation survivors and descendants. So we have 751 hits as of yesterday. And with a 10% error, I gotta admit, math is not my favorite. I like to say over 600, just to be assured. In the coming weeks, each of these hits will be assessed by a technical team, and we will get a verified number in the coming weeks. And I just want to rephrase, this is not a mass grave site. These are unmarked graves. And we didn't remove these headstones. Removing headstones is a crime in this country. And we are treating this like a crime scene at the moment. In 1960, there may have been marks on these graves. The Catholic Church representatives removed these headstones, and today they are unmarked graves.
Excavations at the Maryville School, about 150 kilometers or 90 miles east of the provincial capital Regina, began at the end of May after the discovery of remains of 215 school children at another former Indigenous residential school in British Columbia. After the discovery of the remains at the Kamloops School, excavations were undertaken near several former institutions for Indigenous children across Canada, with the assistance of government authorities. Some 150,000 Native Americans, Métis, and Inuit children were forcibly recruited until the 1990s in 139 of these residential schools across Canada, where they were isolated from their families, their language, and their culture. Many were subjected to ill treatment and sexual abuse, and more than 4,000 died in the schools, according to a commission of inquiry that concluded Canada had committed cultural genocide against the Indigenous communities. Perry Bellegarde, National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations, said the discovery of the Saskatchewan site was absolutely tragic but not surprising. I urge all Canadians to stand with First Nation in this extremely difficult and emotional time, Bellegarde said.
We're tired of being told what to do and how to do it. We are smart enough and ready to do it ourselves. And Canada, one day, hopefully when my 4-year-old is old, will have reconciliation through and through the spirit and intent, so Indigenous people and Canada can thrive on this land together.
In early June, a few days after the discovery of bones in Kamloops, UN human rights expert urged Ottawa and the Vatican to conduct a full and prompt investigation into the discovery. Coming up, we have updates from the NBA. Eagle News Canada continues after this.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas, a 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Probinsya. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to explain our health outdoor
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News Canada. I'm Kat Joy from Ottawa, Ontario. Chris Paul returns to the Phoenix Suns lineup, but the LA Clippers take Game 3 of their Western Conference Final Series. Plus, New York Liberty celebrates their first Juneteenth game versus the Chicago Sky. Here's Eagle News correspondent Tenny Sumagi with this week's sports highlights.
Chris Paul returned to the Phoenix Suns lineup, but struggled offensively as the Clippers take Game 3 of their Western Conference Finals series behind Paul George's 27 points.
Hey, Chris, first of all, welcome back. Just how would you sum up what happened out there tonight?
They outplayed us tonight. You know what I mean? We didn't make shots. You could tell they had, a lot more energy. And I got to be better. I shot terrible. You know what I mean? I got to pick up the pace. We'll be ready again.
Our leaders, myself, Kawhi, Pat Bev, Rondo, Marcus. I think what's so great about this team. We have so many vets that we can lean on. DeMarcus plays a role in leadership in the locker room. And, it's just great. We got so many guys that want this. So many guys that are lost in this moment. That we just stay together. We know that we have a real possibility to do something special, and we're gonna give everything we have. I think what the beauty is we happy with the results. Win, lose, or draw. This team is going to be happy with the results. We put so much into this season. We've invested so much into each other. We're going to live with the results, and I think that's the beauty of it.
Over in the WNBA, the New York Liberty held its first Juneteenth theme versus the Chicago Sky. Benijah Laney and Jasmine Jones share what it means as a Black woman to have the league commemorate this special occasion.
Just being vocal about, everything that's going on, about, what it means to me to be a Black woman, and, how far we've come, noticing all the people that came before me and how they paved, their way so that I can be here and doing what I'm doing what I love to do, every single day. So just recognizing everything, all the sacrifices and everything it took for me to get here.
But I love that the league is giving us the opportunity to have these type of games for us to market this type of stuff. So coming in the door. So for us, for me especially, it's an honor to be a part of something like this, just to bring awareness to what Juneteenth is and what it's all about and things like that. So I'm super excited that the team is having this as be our type. What's the word I'm trying to look for? This theme, there it is, this theme tonight. So I'm really excited for it. And I'm excited for the theme on Thursday and then so on and so forth.
For more NBA and WNBA highlights, tune in to Eagle News for more. In New York, Tenny Samagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
That's today's Eagle News Canada. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I'm Kat Joy. We live in interesting times.
Sabi naman sa lumang kasabihan, may pera sa basura. At ang akala mo'y pwede nang itapon, style pala sa fashion.
Nag-umpisa kasi ako sa basahan hanggang sa naging recycle.
6 na taong gulang pa lang ako, mahilig akong gumawa ng recycle. So doon nag-start yung naging passion ko.
Mga CD, straw at saka mga trapal po, yung mga ginamit na trapal.
At para sa gustong magtahi nito, magbenta at magparenta, abay pwedeng kumita.
Marami pong nakaalam na gumagawa nga po ako ng costumes. Libo-libo po yung kinikita ko.
Nakapaayos na po ako ng bahay namin, nakapaayos na ako ng shop namin po.
Nagustuhan ng maraming tao. So hanggang sa dumami ang aming mga customer.
Ako po, si Robin Padilla, at ito po ang ulat, Kaagapay sa Hanap Buhay.
Kaagapay sa Hanap Buhay.
Hello, do you know how much physical activity should one do to burn the calories from a regular fast food meal? In Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm Ethel Constantino. Please join me today in satisfying my cravings for a cheeseburger meal from a famous fast food restaurant. I would also love to order some good old fries and Diet Coke to go with that. Hi, I would like to order a cheeseburger meal, please, a medium fries, and a large Diet Coke. Yes, that's all. Thank you. Did you know that this cheeseburger has 300 calories? Add the fries with 340 calories, and this meal will have a whopping 640 total calories. And that's only from one meal. We all know that fast food is not the healthiest, but it is undeniably very convenient and affordable. I believe that there is nothing wrong with satisfying our fast food cravings once in a while. But eating fast food every day? That's another story. It's not healthy, and health experts do not recommend it. So, how much physical activity should one do in order to burn 640 calories? According to the CDC, or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, individuals who weigh more usually burn calories faster than those who weigh less. Calories fuel everything that we do. The number of calories that we burn or use depends on several factors such as the type and intensity of our physical activities,